What is going on, guys? We are live on YouTube. We are live on TikTok. How's it going? Happy Friday, everyone. We're going to be doing another Best Ball Mania 3 draft live on this stream. We're going to be getting going very soon, sharing the draft board over on YouTube as usual. Hope we're all having a fantastic Friday. How's it going, everybody? We are live on YouTube and we are live on TikTok. If you're tuning into the YouTube live, let me know how the internet connection is looking for you. I have a slightly different setup today. So let me know if the audio is coming through okay. If you are watching live on YouTube, we're going to be doing another fantasy football draft on this live stream. Going to be entering the Best Ball Mania 3 very shortly. What's going on? I've been waiting for this. Yarjma, how's it going? See you in the YouTube live. Audio is good. Good to hear. It's going well, man. It's Friday. We are officially done with the NBA season. RIP the Celtics. They gave it a good shot. But the exciting part about the NBA season being over is it is officially fantasy football season. So come on over to the YouTube live, guys, because we are just joining a $25 fantasy football draft with a $2 million prize pool. I'm competing not even a $2 million prize pool, a $2 million first place prize. Pretty sure it's about a $10 million prize pool over on YouTube. Look up WalterPicks on YouTube. You can see the draft live on YouTube. I literally have the draft board up. The draft has not started yet. We are waiting for 6 more people. Feel free to hop into the draft over on Underdog Fantasy. Jay Jetta's this season's Cooper Cup. I could see it. That definitely would not surprise me. If you're watching live on TikTok, guys, hit up the YouTube live. Hello, Fantasy Football AZ. What's going on, Max? Good to see you, man. Hope everything's good. Everybody hit those mock drafts up. We need the 14 teams filling up. I don't do mock drafts at this time of the year almost ever. I do real drafts. This is a real $25 draft over on Underdog Fantasy. I've done over 100 of them so far. I'm feeling good about this one. The last one we did on stream, we absolutely crushed. Come over to the YouTube live, look up WalterPicks on YouTube, or check out the YouTube link in our bio to watch this draft live. Again, you can see the draft board live on YouTube. Cannot share my screen on TikTok, but I'll talk through it on TikTok as well if you guys want to hang out in the TikTok live. Andrew Samps, our Falcons creator, sounds like he's going to be hopping in to this Best Ball Mania draft. Love to hear that. Andrew, he's been hopping in a bunch of Best Ball Mania drafts recently. We are only... How many people left? Any? Let's see. What pick did we get? We got the 6th pick. We're 2 picks before FF Samps, our Falcons creator. Love your stuff. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. Let's go, Samps. I've done only a few real drafts. Yarjman, that's this is normal. To only have done a few real drafts up to this point in the year. I need to slow down. I'm working on slowing down a little bit, but I can't help myself, man. This is what I do for a living, and I do feel like there is a slight edge in fantasy drafts for some specific players right now. I'll talk through some of those guys on this live stream. Again, we are about to start. I'm about to start in a $25 real fantasy football draft. This is a best ball draft over on Underdog Fantasy, where the first place prize is $2 million, competing against hundreds of thousands of people in this tournament. And I just got the 6th pick. The draft's about to start. You're going to be able to see the draft live on YouTube. The draft board is up, and the draft is literally about to start in 4 seconds. Javonte or Najee? I'm going Najee Harris all day long. Is this where all the WalterPicks accounts draft their teams? No, it is not. So the 32-person WalterPicks league is actually on Sleeper. You'll actually be able to see a lot of the info about that league, though, in the WalterPicks app this season. OMG, I just realized it's the math hat. Yep, we got the math hat. Still rocking. What year are you at Ithaca? I graduated in 2019. Thank you for promoting my username. What's your username? Oh, Matt. Nice. I got you, man. Sammy Slammers. What's going on, Lewis? Good to see you, man. What is going on, my man? Not much, man. I'm in a live draft. I'm already prepping. I'm already getting in reps. The basketball season, NBA season ended last night. RIP the Celtics. They gave it a good go. I hope they'll be back. Tatum and Jaylen Brown will get another chance in the finals at some point in their career. But the exciting part about the NBA finals being over is it's officially fantasy football season now, as far as I'm concerned. Keep up the grind. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. Who You think you get 6. Yeah, so the draft already started. The first 4 picks were Jonathan Taylor. Again, you can watch the draft board live on YouTube. Link is in the TikTok bio, or just look up WalterPicks on YouTube. Jonathan Taylor went first overall, then Cooper Kupp, then Christian McCaffrey, then the 2 big wide receivers. And I actually do think this is one of the tougher picks in fantasy, 6th overall. After these receivers are off the board, I'm going with Austin Eckler this time around. But I've done a lot of different things in this spot in the many drafts I've done so far. I think it's very reasonable to take Austin Eckler with his receiving role in one of the best offenses in the league, what should be one of the best offenses in the league this season. I also think taking Derrick Henry is very reasonable at 6th overall if he is there. I also would consider Najee Harris in his spot. I've taken Najee Harris probably the most among those 3 guys, Austin Eckler, Derrick Henry, Najee. Najee Harris, to me, is one of the safest picks in fantasy because he has age on his side, right? He's going into year 2. He's never had injury concerns in his career, and he led the league in touches last year. The upside of Najee, weekly upside at least, is a little bit capped. He doesn't have very many breakaway runs, and the Steelers' offense does have some concerns on the offensive line and at the quarterback position heading into the season. But from a pure volume standpoint, you could make the argument for Najee at 6th overall as well. I just went with Austin Eckler, though, because I got to get some Austin Eckler shares as well. Sam, how much do you think Week 17 correlation matters here? Yeah, Jack, thank you for bringing this up. So this was brought up last live stream. And this is a good question because Week 17 is the final week in this league. And again, first place gets $2 million in this league. There's hundreds of thousands of people in this contest. So there's a bunch of different leagues in the contest, right? I got to win my league. Then I got to beat everyone that won their league in Week 15. And then I got to beat a bunch more people that beat other people that won their league in Week 16. And then Week 17 is like all the people that won the leagues, that won the leagues, that won the leagues. You're playing the best of the best teams, but that's your shot at the $2 million prize. And so, yeah, it does matter. I think it does matter. The Week 17 correlation stacks. I actually just I have like literally right behind my where you can see on camera a list of every single Week 17 matchup. And it's something that I'll look at more so as the draft goes along, less so like right at the beginning of the draft. Should I draft Peyton Hillis? Man, what a year. A guy that I've not thought about. Sam, bro, I'm taking intro to weather and climate, and these charts are so compact, I'm going to cry. Yarzma. Man, I part-time as a weatherman, so I might be able to help out on Sunday mornings. I part-time as weatherman Sam during the season to let us know if there's any wind over 25 miles an hour. That's going to impact fantasy lineups. That's about as much as I can help. What's your top 5 in redraft? Yeah, so it's Jonathan Taylor, Christian McCaffrey, and then I think you can make a strong argument for the top 3 receivers, Cooper Kupp, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, in that conversation. And then there's Austin Eckler, Derrick Henry, Najee, I think should be in the conversation too. So really there's like 8 guys that I think you could argue in your top 5. To me though, the top, very clearly the top 2, Jonathan Taylor, number 1, Christian McCaffrey, number 2. All right, I'm back on the clock. We are going to take a wide receiver here. We'll go with Mike Evans. I want to stack wide receivers early. Let's just double check the bye weeks here. We're going for it. All right. So we started 6th overall pick. We got Austin Eckler round 1, Mike Evans round 2. Again, you can watch this draft live. This is a real $25 draft with the potential to win $2 million for the first place prize in this contest. I had the 6th overall pick. I went Austin Eckler and then Mike Evans in round 2. Bro's tripping. Adams at the turn. Yeah. So take a look at Devontae Adams. If you're watching live on YouTube, again, look up WalterPicks or just go to our TikTok bio. You're like 2 presses away from the draft board if you're watching live on TikTok. But the Devontae Adams was picked in the first round, 11th overall. Let's take a look at Sam's team. He went wide receiver in this draft, which I don't hate. How do you feel about Javonte Williams? I'm starting to like him less and less at his cost. He's going really early. He's getting drafted in the 3rd round. Like he'll probably get drafted in the 3rd round in this draft. He's definitely been falling in drafts recently. I think I could open up to him in the 4th round. But round 3 seems very early. There's a very good chance that it's a very similar situation to last year with Melvin Gordon, where Melvin Gordon steals about half the touchdowns and half the receiving work. And that really slashes Javonte Williams' upside in fantasy on a weekly basis. The talent is not the concern with Javonte Williams. There's lots of players like this in fantasy that are exciting because of the talent. And Javonte Williams absolutely is one of the most talented running backs in the league. He's heading into year 2, which is also a very good thing at the running back position. But Melvin Gordon has been one of the most steady running backs in the league for a while. So I'm a little nervous about Javonte. Bandit Breaks, what's going on, man? What about Mahomes? Yeah, I'm just not. My quarterback strategy in fantasy is relatively straightforward. if you look at the top quarterbacks, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, Lamar Jackson, Kyler Murray, I just want to be the guy that gets the last of one of those guys. And that very rarely is Patrick Mahomes. It's most commonly Kyler Murray. So I've just been taking Kyler Murray in round 6, round 7, because the whole logic here is all of those guys have a pretty good shot at being the number 1 overall quarterback. So I'm just going to wait for the last one. I'm not going to pick quarterbacks very early, but I'm still going to end up with quarterback with number 1 overall QB upside. How do I view draft board on TikTok? You go to the TikTok bio and you click on the YouTube button, and then you can see the draft board on YouTube. That's how you do it from TikTok. All right, we're back on the board. Part of me wants to take Michael Pitts, but another part of me wants to take Michael Pittman. Another part of me wants to take Kyle Pitts. I already have a receiver. I really do like Michael Pittman a lot in fantasy this year. Kyle Pitts has been my most drafted player as well so far. I have a feeling FF Samps will take Kyle Pitts as well. If I don't take him here, I'm gonna go for it. One of the big advantages in this format too of taking a tight end early is you only need to take 2 tight ends. Thoughts on the new Drake album? No major thoughts. Honestly, have not had a great chance to listen to it yet. Great strategy. Thank you. I appreciate that. So we are 3 rounds in. I got Austin Eckler, Mike Evans, Kyle Pitts. And guys, if you have read any news from the Falcons training camp or mini camp yet so far this offseason, Kyle Pitts is one of the best players, if not the best player on the Atlanta Falcons offense. Like it's going to run through Kyle Pitts, and tight ends make major leaps in year 2 and year 3 in the league. He's coming off one of the best rookie seasons of all time. He's one of the most early drafted tight ends in the history of the NFL. I would much rather be 1 year early than 1 year late on Kyle Pitts in fantasy football. That's why he's been my most drafted player so far this season. And he really does have number 1 overall tight end upside this year. No, Mariota is not good for Kyle Pitts. Desmond Ridder is not good for Kyle Pitts. But even with that, he could have the largest target share among tight ends in the league. He could have a 30% target share. It's very reasonable. It's him and Drake London and then a very, very steep drop-off. So even though the Falcons might not have a very efficient offense and they might not throw the ball that much or that well, as long as he's getting 10 plus targets a game, Kyle Pitts has number 1 tight end overall upside. He's going to score more than the 1 touchdown he had last season. That's for sure. And wide receivers are starting to fly off the board now. Looks like Michael Pittman is still available though, if you're watching live on YouTube. Kyle Pitts won me the chip last season, Sammy boy. That's what I'm talking about, man. That's what I'm talking about. And he's going to win seasons this year more so than he won seasons last year, because Kyle Pitts had a pretty underwhelming fantasy season for where he was drafted last year. Right? He didn't bring that many people to the championship. But this year it's going to be different. This year it's going to be different for Kyle Pitts because, one, he's getting drafted right around the same spot he did last year in the 3rd round. But he's heading into year 2 now with even less competition. So the sky's the limit for Kyle Pitts. Can I still join the $2 million contest? Luke, you can, but not in the draft that I'm in right now. But you can, yeah. Over on Underdog Fantasy, it's a $25 entry fee. If you've never deposited on there, use code Walter. When you sign up, you'll get a 100% deposit match. Mahomes is the 2nd QB off the board. And this is why I have no Patrick Mahomes on my teams. Samps is back on the clock here if you're watching live on YouTube. And I want to address this question from Jack. I'll talk to you about this comment after the pick that I have coming up. Cam Akers goes off the board. I only have 1 running back, 1 wide receiver, 1 tight end. Jalen Waddle is sliding. Jalen Waddle is sliding and sliding and sliding in these early drafts, really ever since the Tyreek Hill signing. But we're actually going to go with Travis Etienne with this pick. Another guy that I've really been trying to get on as many teams as possible. Pitts doesn't have a QB. Why your draft early AF? So this is a best ball draft. I've actually done over 100 of these drafts because there's no in-season management with these drafts. Your best lineup's automatically submitted for you each week. There's no adding, dropping, or trading throughout the season. These are basically the only thing you do is the draft. And they're pretty low entry fees. So this is like, batting practice for me for the high stake drafts come August. But favorite cheap stacks. I like Jags and Bears and Browns late in drafts. Yeah. My absolutely favorite cheap stacks. It is the Jaguars, the Trevor Lawrence, Marvin Jones, Evan Engram stack is basically free in drafts, but also the Texans. If you get Brandon Cooks early in drafts, and I actually think he's still on the board right now, but you can typically get him in round 6, round 7. And then you get Davis Mills like in the last round. and Nico Collins in the last round. And actually, you go and you look, who are the Texans playing in Week 17? They're playing the Jaguars. The Jaguars-Texans Week 17 stack plus the QB wide receiver stacks are going to win someone $2 million this year, and it hopefully will be me. And that's another reason why I really like drafting Travis Etienne in round 4, because I can also stack him with Trevor Lawrence, because not many people know about Travis Etienne yet because he didn't play in his rookie season, but he's one of the best receiving backs in the NFL. He is one of the best receiving backs in the NFL, and he already has dozens of games of experience with Trevor Lawrence back in college. So this is nothing new for Trevor Lawrence and Travis Etienne, who really, he does have a path to 60-plus catches this season. Where do you have Cook and Kamara? Yeah, so I have Cook well ahead of Kamara. I'm nervous about the potential suspension for Alvin Kamara, but if he isn't suspended, I mean, he's been one of the most efficient running backs in the league for each of the past 3 seasons. So he does have really, really high upside, but I am nervous. Alvin Kamara could get suspended. Yards would get, we got to bring up, I love Lamar here, by the way. Lamar just got picked. And Kyler, I'm back on the clock. Probably should go wide receiver here. I'm not a big Gabriel Davis fan this season. He's the next guy in terms of average draft position. Kyler Murray is also available. But I'm actually going to go with Rashad Bateman, who is the number 1 receiver for the Baltimore Ravens now with no Hollywood Brown. I'm liking how the squad's coming together so far, not going to lie. We had the 6th overall pick, Austin Eckler, Mike Evans, Kyle Pitts, Travis Etienne, Rashad Bateman. I want to talk about the Deshaun Watson situation because there's been some stuff coming out about that. And this is like one of the biggest things with these early best ball drafts that's going to shift things massively depending on what happens with Deshaun Watson. So I'm not going to shy away from the Deshaun Watson conversation. I know it can be a little bit divisive. But my stance still, and I haven't read the entire articles that have come out today about Deshaun Watson, but up to this point, my stance really for the last few weeks has been, I think Deshaun Watson, best case scenario for Deshaun is he's suspended this entire season. That's the mindset I'm operating under right now. And he's been dropping massively in drafts. He has been going in the last round in most drafts recently that I've been a part of. And so I think most people are operating under that mindset, but that's not a guaranteed thing, right? I'm purely speculating. And if he does play, he's going to be a top 10 fantasy football quarterback. And it also has massive implications for the whole offense. Amari Cooper, Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, even some of the ancillary wide receivers in Donovan People-Jones. Do you like Imagine Dragons? Yeah, I actually do. Over Murray. Yeah, I took Rashad Bateman over Kyler Murray, but only because I can draft 3 quarterbacks in this league and not really have to worry about quarterbacks. How well can Scary Terry and Dotson do with a shit QB? Yeah, so first of all, this might be the best quarterback that Terry McLaurin has ever played with. It actually might be the best quarterback that he's ever played with. Prochet, best receiver in Baltimore. Let's not get ahead of ourselves here. He's probably behind Devin Duvernay. So if you're behind Devin Duvernay, I don't think you're the best receiver on your team. Sam, did you see my Massachusetts? I don't know what you mean. I didn't even mean to. I took another NFC West player. Let's look at FF Sam's team. So our Falcons creators in this draft, Andrew, he had the 8th overall pick. He went Stephon Diggs, Deebo Samuel, followed that up with James Conner, Cam Akers, and Kyler Murray. I don't hate it, man. I don't love the James Conner, Kyler Murray stack. James Conner hasn't been the biggest receiver, but I do like where you got Kyler Murray. You did fit that. He was the last one of those 5 guys of the top 5. Is taking Saquon in the 2nd round a risk worth taking? Yeah, it definitely is. It definitely is. It 100% is a risk worth taking. He went, let's see, where was he picked in this draft? Yeah, he went 20th overall in this draft in the 2nd round. And yeah, I like where he actually went 1 pick after me in the 2nd round. But yeah, I like taking a risk on Saquon in the 2nd round, especially if you start with your 1st round pick as a receiver. Drafting Etienne, top 15 RB, top 50 overall. In PPR, yes, he's going to be top 50 overall, top 15 RB. In half PPR, I still think he can do it. In non-PPR, it's going to be much tougher. But in a PPR league, that's point per reception, he's going to ball out. All right, we're back on the clock here. Probably going to keep hammering wide receivers at this point in the draft. I've been warming up to Elijah Moore actually a lot more in drafts recently. The more I think about the New York Jets and, he meant he took him since he took Kyle Pitts. Oh, I see what you're saying. Take your favorite player, Gabe Davis. The more I think about the New York Jets wide receiver situation, I think immediately following the draft, I believed Garrett Wilson had a pretty good chance to lead this receiving room, at least in the back half of the season. But the more I think about it, the more I believe that Elijah Moore is going to rise to the occasion this season for the Jets and be their pretty clear number one wide receiver for at least the better half of the first half of the year. I could see Garrett Wilson coming on at the end of the season, but even if he does, I still think Elijah Moore can eat in fantasy football. He was an extremely efficient rookie when he was healthy, even in a really bad offense. He was one of the best yards after the catch receivers in the league last year. What platform are you drafting on? Drafting on Underdog Fantasy. Really, it is the best place to be drafting right now at this time of the year, and it is a place where you can go if you've never been on Underdog Fantasy before, and you use the code Walter when you sign up. You get 100% deposit badge. So a $25 draft, if you deposit $25, you're going to get $50. You get 2 drafts for the price of 1. But no, Underdog really is the best place to be doing drafts right now. How do you get into these drafts? Yeah, it's on Underdog Fantasy. Again, use code Walter. Andrew is not currently live on TikTok, according to the YouTube live comments. Again, you can watch this draft live over on YouTube. If you're watching live on TikTok, you can see the draft board live on YouTube as it's happening. And this is really, it is the best way to get a sense of player value right now, because this is a real draft, $25 on the line, $2 million first place prize in this competition. So this really is a very good way to see live player value. Dalton Schultz went in the 6th round, and this is the massive teardrop at tight ends. And hey, I'm on both lives now. Love that, Yarjma. This is the massive teardrop among tight ends that you really want to be aware of in fantasy drafts this season. After Dalton Schultz, I mean, it's just a massive drop-off. I have a trouble trusting every tight end that's left. Now, we have TJ Hawkinson, Dallas Goedert, Dawson Knox at the top of the tight end list now. There's a lot. I have a lot less confidence in those guys than I do in Dalton Schultz this season. And we're back on the clock again. I don't think I've drafted Russell Wilson a single time this season yet. AJ Dillon got snagged. I'm going with Miles Sanders. Not a sexy pick by any means, but Miles Sanders has a pretty good shot at 1,000 yards rushing this season. This is a half PPR format as well. And I'm going to need like 5 running backs on this squad. Did you see my Massachusetts comment on YouTube earlier? I didn't see the comment on YouTube, no. I see the comment now, Yarshma. It's pulled up. Sneaky tight end, Evan Engram, underdog P. He loves tight ends. I absolutely love it. Yeah, no, I'm in on Evan Engram at his cost, especially. He's going in like the 16th round in fantasy drafts. So in the traditional fantasy leagues, he's probably not even going to get drafted, especially if you're drafting Trevor Lawrence, who I like a lot this season too. Stacking Evan Engram with Trevor Lawrence, probably my favorite stack so far that I've done in fantasy drafts is taking Travis Etienne in round 4, stacking him with Trevor Lawrence in like round 9, 10, 11, and then getting Marvin Jones and Evan Engram like after round like 13. It's one of the cheapest stacks you can get. And Trevor Lawrence has a chance to be a top 5 fantasy football quarterback this season. It really is within his range of outcomes. He was the number 1 overall draft pick. He dealt with Urban Meyer all of last season until the very end. He now has his first real offseason in the NFL. And he has way better weapons this year with Christian Kirk added to the mix, and then Evan Engram as well. So I really do not think Trevor Lawrence is trash. How many teams in your draft? This is a 12-person draft. Again, you can watch the draft board live on YouTube. Look up WalterPicks on YouTube, or just tap the YouTube button in our TikTok bio. So far, I got 3 running backs, I think 3 wide receivers, and 1 tight end. I got Kyle Pitts in round 3. Have not addressed the quarterback position yet. I'll probably push that off for a little while longer unless a stack appears. I actually had a shot at Tom Brady, I think, in that last one to stack with Mike Evans, but I decided against that. Got my guy, another NFC West guy. Andrew Samps is only drafting NFC West, I guess, in this draft. You got Kenneth Walker. Yeah. So I'm in on Kenneth Walker, by the way. I probably should have taken him over Miles Sanders. Last year, our Falcons creator, Andrew, he was really pumping up Mike Davis. This year, his guy is going to be Kenneth Walker. And I think it is it's certainly much more reasonable than Mike Davis was last season. Kenneth Walker was the second most talented running back in this year's draft class. He has a lot of comparisons. I compared him in my top 10 rookies for fantasy video over on YouTube that I posted about a month ago now. I compared him to Nick Chubb. He's a very good pure runner. He hasn't really shown he can do much in the passing game. That might not matter very much for the Seahawks, though, who could be the most run-heavy team in the NFL, maybe only behind the Baltimore Ravens. So Kenneth Walker could be like Najee Harris this year. I think that is possible, minus the receiving work that Najee got. But he could see close to 20 carries a game, 15, 20 carries a game in this offense, even if Rashad Penny's healthy. That is possible for Kenneth Walker. That's how good of a runner he is. My big concern with Kenneth Walker is just the Seahawks are going to be trash. They're going to struggle to sustain drives. They are going from one of the most efficient QBs in history to Drew Lock or Geno Smith. And also the offensive line is arguably bottom 3 in the league. So there's the cases against Kenneth Walker. But again, the volume is likely going to be there, and we know the talent is there. So, Sam, I think I just found your twin on YouTube at WalterPicks. Everyone go watch. Oh, my God, no way. At WalterPicks on YouTube, everybody go watch. Let's see what quarterbacks are available for this upcoming pick. I should probably – Aaron Rodgers is someone that I have been taking a lot more recently. He's been sliding a lot in drafts too. But really, this squad of QBs, if I miss on the top 7, if you're watching live on YouTube, you can see the quarterbacks I'm talking about. But this squad of QBs that I just favorited on the YouTube live, Derek Carr, Justin Fields, Tua, and Trevor Lawrence, these are the guys I'm targeting if I miss on quarterbacks that have number 1 overall QB upside. I'm hopefully going to get at least 2 of these guys, not with this pick, but with my next pick. I am back on the clock. Cordell Patterson is still available. I only have 3 running backs. I sort of want to go wide receiver, though. We're going to go with Scantling. Get a piece of the Chiefs' offense. And the reason I'm hammering wide receivers early in these drafts is the format of this league is you start 3 wide receivers and a flex, but only 2 running backs. So you can start 4 wide receivers every week, and it's half PPR. So you really need like 8 wide receivers by the end of the draft to have a shot at maximum upside. Pitts with Mariota, yikes. Yeah, a lot of people are anti-Pitts because of Marcus Mariota, but it's about the volume. And the volume is going to be there for Kyle Pitts. He has a chance to lead all tight ends in target share this season. We have him projected for, I think, a 31% target share right now in the Falcons offense. So even if the offense is super inefficient, and even if the offense struggles to sustain an efficient passing offense, Kyle Pitts can be the number 1 overall tight end in fantasy football. It is very possible. And also then you go back and you think about Marcus Mariota. And I understand the concerns with Mariota from a fantasy perspective, from a general quarterback perspective. But you actually go back, you look at the times Mariota was a starting quarterback in the league, back when he first entered the league. And his tight ends did very, very well. Delanie Walker back in the day on the Tennessee Titans, when Marcus Mariota started out in the league, was a top 10 fantasy football tight end for 3 consecutive years in a row with Marcus Mariota. So I feel pretty good about Kyle Pitts in this offense as the primary go-to target. But the biggest reason to love Kyle Pitts this season is he's heading into year 2 in the league. And rookie tight ends tend to struggle massively. And he's coming off one of the best rookie tight end seasons in the history of the league. So he's almost guaranteed to do better than he was as a rookie, because rookie tight ends almost never do better than they do in year 2. Year 3 is actually the biggest leap for rookie tight ends, but Kyle Pitts is an exception at the tight end position with how early he was picked. He was one of the earliest picked tight ends in the history of the NFL. So don't be 1 year late on Kyle Pitts. I would much rather be 1 year early on Kyle Pitts, because it's only a matter of time until Kyle Pitts has a number 1 overall tight end season. What do you think about Derrick Henry this year? I mean, if he's healthy, he has a shot at being number 1 overall running back. He is the first running back in NFL history to average over 100 rushing yards per game in 3 consecutive seasons. That has never been done in the history of the NFL, and Derrick Henry has done that in each of the last 3 seasons. He's an absolute freak. His over-under every single week for player props is literally in the hundreds for rushing yards. He has one of the most locked in volume in the league. I'm not going to sleep on him this season, like I was a little bit before last season because of the receiving work. But all that being said, you got to be a little bit worried. He's getting up there in age. He's had some injury problems, and he's seen a lot of volume over the last 3 years. So it's definitely tough to have a lot of faith that Derrick Henry will play every single game this season. You'll be hard-pressed to find someone on underdog with more shares of Christian Watson than Andrew. All right. Sam, in redraft format, do you have any thoughts on draft position this year? I won my league last year, so I get to pick my spot. I usually go mid-late and grab 2 RBs because of the lack of depth. Thoughts? Yeah, I said this last year, and I was totally wrong. And I generally am a believer that, like, good luck actually figuring out where the best spot to be in the draft is. It's always much easier in retrospect, obviously. But last year, I had, I think, a similar mindset to this year. I want the number 1 overall pick. I want Jonathan Taylor, but really I want a draft pick where I know I'm going to be able to get Christian McCaffrey, and that's often 2nd or 3rd overall. Like, if you know in your league that Christian McCaffrey will fall to 3rd or 4th overall, then you should probably take the 3rd or 4th overall pick and get Christian McCaffrey, especially if it's a PPR league. If not, I actually do like the back end of drafts a lot this year. There is a lot of value. If you even just look at the draft I'm doing over on YouTube, like, you're going to get Najee Harris, Dalvin Cook, Joe Mixon, DeAndre Swift, even guys like Aaron Jones, Saquon Barkley, like, they're all going to be there for you at the end of the first round, beginning of the 2nd round. But I also really love CeeDee Lamb, early 2nd round, end of the 1st round as well. He's one of the safest receivers in the league this year, and he also has a top 3 wide receiver upside easily this season on the Dallas Cowboys. Like, his floor is really what he did last year, and he was a top 12 wide receiver in fantasy last season. David Njoku, top 5 fantasy tight ends. This is Browns.WalterPicks in the chat. I do not know about that one, man. Another live. That's what we're talking about, Avery. Which rookie running back will be a fantasy beast? Yeah, so among the rookie running backs, there's really 2 that have the best chance to be fantasy football beasts. The first is Breece Hall, who's the most talented rookie running back on paper. He's in a pretty tough offense, though, for the New York Jets. But Breece Hall, if you've never seen or heard of Breece Hall, he is basically a clone of Saquon Barkley, but he's 22 years old and he has no injury history. So a much better version, younger version of Saquon Barkley, but he has his level of athleticism and shiftiness in the open field that we've seen from Saquon Barkley before, but he doesn't have the injury concerns. So he really has the chance to explode in fantasy football. Would not shock me if Breece Hall is a 1st-round pick in fantasy after this season. The other guy, though, is Kenneth Walker. He's a much different player than Breece Hall, though. Breece Hall is a very good receiver. Kenneth Walker is not proven to be a very good receiver. He didn't catch the ball very much in college, but he was an extremely efficient runner. He's on the Seahawks this season, who want to run the ball a ton, and they're going to need to run the ball a ton in that offense. I just took Derek Carr, by the way, in the live draft I'm doing over on YouTube. But those are really, to me, the 2 rookie running backs with the highest chance of exploding in their rookie year. I would be pretty surprised if a different rookie running back finishes a top 12 running back in fantasy. I think these are the 2 guys with a real shot to do it. Though my 3rd kind of sleeper rookie running back would be Rachaad White. He's on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He was arguably the best receiving back in this draft class. He's already shining as a receiver at their like pre-training camp in Tampa Bay, and we know Tom Brady loves to throw to his running backs. I mean, Rachaad White is a better version of James White, and he's arguably a better runner too, just with what he produced in college. So I like him a lot too. All right, we're back on the clock. There's these 3 QBs still here, but I'm actually going to go running back with this pick and take Alexander Mattison. Mattison is one of these guys in fantasy that he has standalone value in half PPR and PPR leagues. But then if Dalvin Cook gets hurt, you're going to win your fantasy league if you have Alexander Mattison, one of the most talented backup running backs in the league. I actually think if we're talking about who is the best backfield in the NFL talent-wise, I think you got to bring up the Packers with Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon. I think I would argue for them as number 1 overall. But I think you also have to talk about the Minnesota Vikings with Dalvin Cook and Alexander Mattison. I think Alexander Madison's one of the most talented backups in the league. Thoughts on Travis Etienne? Yeah, I do have thoughts on Travis Etienne. I literally just drafted him in this $25 draft I'm doing on on Underdog right now over on YouTube. You can see the draft live as it's happening. But I took Travis Etienne in the 4th round, and I've been doing that pretty consistently in the drafts I've been doing recently, because I know what Travis Etienne is, and not everyone knows what Travis Etienne is because he hasn't played in the NFL yet. But he is one of the best receiving backs in the NFL. He is more of a receiver than a running back. He balled out as a receiver at Clemson. And guess who he was playing with? He was playing with Trevor Lawrence. He already has the connection with Trevor Lawrence. And then you add in the fact that James Robinson's coming back from a torn Achilles, arguably the worst injury that you can get in sports. It's very, very difficult to come back from a torn Achilles. And there's nothing against James Robinson. I think he's great. But even if James Robinson's healthy, Travis Etienne is going to be the number one receiving back on that team, and it's not going to be very close. He can easily eclipse 60 catches this season. If I'm waiting until a 9th, 10th round to get a QB this year, if I can't get QB, if I can't get Brady yet, that's fine. If you're waiting though, if you're really waiting that long, look for Trevor Lawrence, look for Tua. I think both those guys have a really high upside. What's Etienne's ADP? Yeah, he's going. Let's take a look. He's going as his ADP is 43rd overall. I think he's like in the RB 15 to 20 range. But 43rd overall, which is about the 4th round in 12 person leagues. And I just took him in the 4th round, like right at ADP. But in a PPR league, though, like I'm willing to take Travis Etienne in the 3rd round in a PPR league. It really does make a big difference because that's going to be his primary way of scoring points is through receptions and receiving yards. Chubb and Hunt and Dearness, yeah, you can definitely make the argument for them as well, 100%. Fournette, the best pass blocker in the league, which is why Brady loves him. Yeah, Greg, you're right. In terms of talent and opportunities, Swift isn't close to Saquon. Is there another back on the Giants? The only other back on the Giants is Matt Breida. I believe Matt Breida is the backup on the Giants right now. Thoughts on the Kyler Brown stack? Yeah, it's one of my favorite stacks if you can get it. Hollywood Brown's been going earlier and earlier. Look, he went early or late 3rd round in this draft. But yeah, he's going to ball out in the first 6 weeks of the season without DeAndre Hopkins, but he's going to have some spike weeks even with DeAndre Hopkins. Let me tell you, Marquise Brown is going to be better with Kyler Murray than he was with Lamar Jackson. Kyler Murray has a better deep ball than Lamar, and I'm one of the biggest Lamar stans. But I'm not going to sit here and tell you that he's a better passer than Kyler Murray. They're also, this is another duo. I just took Tua as my 2nd QB in this draft, and I will take Trevor Lawrence as my 3rd QB if he's there with my next pick, and then I won't take another QB in this draft, especially because I got the Christian Kirk, Travis Etienne stack. I would absolutely love to get Trevor Lawrence with this next pick. If not, I'll probably go with one of these running backs, Nyheim Hines or Darrell Henderson. But yeah, the Kyler Murray, Marquise Brown stack is going to be absolutely explode in the first 6 weeks of the season. And I have no doubts about Kyler Murray from a fantasy football perspective. Thoughts on Pollard this year? Heard he's going to have a big receiving role. Yeah, I mean, he had a pretty big receiving role last year. I actually think he averaged right around 10 fantasy points per game last year. He's another one of these guys that has standalone value. And we all saw it with our own eyes. Zeke just really struggling down the stretch efficiency-wise. Really, there was no arguing whether you're going by the eye test or the numbers. I mean, Tony Pollard was significantly more efficient than Zeke last season. But Zeke was also playing through a PCL tear in his knee that is now fully healed. So that could really turn things around for Zeke. But regardless, Tony Pollard will be involved, especially with Amari Cooper leaving this offseason. He will be involved as a receiver. He's extremely talented. He really has been ever since his days at Memphis. So yeah, I do like Tony Pollard late. And I think he does, like, similar to Madison, even more so than Madison, because I think the Cowboys offense will be better than the Vikings offense. But he has league winning upside if Zeke gets hurt, 100%. I'd pass on Saquon Barkley. He's been a shell of himself since his injury. Yeah, but this is the thing about Saquon Barkley. And it's not that much different than the Christian McCaffrey situation. He's fully healthy now. Saquon Barkley is currently 100% participating in OTAs, and he's going to be fully healthy during training camp, and there's a very high likelihood he's fully healthy to start week 1. And so why are we going to knock his price down for him struggling through past injuries when those past injuries have healed? I really think Saquon Barkley has a chance to explode this season. Obviously, the health concern makes sense, but remember, every running back has a really high risk of injury, and not every running back has the same type of upside as Saquon Barkley. So yeah, I'm happy to take Saquon end of round 2. Thoughts on Stephon Diggs? Yeah, he definitely could be the number 1 overall receiver this season. He was the 4th receiver taken in the draft I'm doing right now. He was taken by Andrew, our Falcons creator, who's in this draft with me right now too. Love the Rondale Moore, Zach Ertz stack, by the way, with Kyler. Andrew, I think the stacking is going very well for you in this draft right now. But yeah, Stephon Diggs, I mean, he's going to be on what's projected to be the number 1 offense in the NFL this season. I think he is going to be one of the safest picks in fantasy. We just saw Jameis Winston get picked in this draft. I'll be pretty surprised if neither of these guys take Trevor Lawrence. Both of them only have one quarterback, but if they don't, I'll definitely be there to pounce. If not, I should probably take another tight end or wide receiver even. I think I actually might go with DJ Chark if he's there, or Marvin Jones. And we're going with Trevor Lawrence. Let's go. We'd love to see it. And like, this is why it's okay that I didn't get one of those top 7 QBs. Because look, I have 3 quarterbacks that are very clearly starters for the team. All of them have top 10 quarterback upside: Derek Carr, Tua, and Trevor Lawrence. Won't take another QB now. But I'm going to get I'll probably finish in this league in terms of quarterback scoring. I'll probably finish top 5 with just these 3 guys. Hollywood Brown worth taking? Yeah, he definitely is. Is Rondale Moore third option? Yeah, Rondale Moore to me is one of the most difficult guys to project this season. I mean, like the range of outcomes for Rondale Moore, he could literally finish outside the top 60 wide receivers, or I could see him finishing in the top 30. There is not a player really like Rondale Moore in the NFL right now. If you look at his average depth of target from last season, it's almost negative. Like almost all of Rondale Moore's receptions and even targets came right at the line of scrimmage. Like the only way Rondale Moore was involved was screen passes. And that's not going to be a route to success for Rondale Moore in fantasy football. We're going to need Rondale Moore running some routes deeper down the field, like an actual wide receiver. And that's going to be the big question for him this season. If he can do that, yeah, he should be their third option. It should be, to start the season, Hollywood Brown, AJ Green, and Rondale Moore. And really, Rondale Moore should have a chance to beat the corpse of AJ Green and even be the second option in the passing offense with DeAndre Hopkins suspended for the first 6 weeks. Once Hopkins comes back, it'll be interesting to see how it shapes up behind Hopkins and Hollywood Brown for the Arizona Cardinals. But really, like, it's up to Rondale Moore. He's got to be able to run some routes down the field. He can't only be getting screen passes and trying to make something work with the screen passes, because he was averaging, if you look at his air yards even per game, like under 10 air yards per game last season for Rondale Moore. Absolutely shocking. I mean, there's no one that had worse air yards or average depth of target than Rondale Moore last year. Is Josh Jacobs a good pick? I'm a little nervous for Josh Jacobs. He's going to be one of the touchdown-dependent running backs. There's lots of them in fantasy. But at his price, I don't know if he's worth taking as a touchdown-dependent running back. He went in, let's see what round. He went in round 5 in the draft I'm doing right now, just end of round 5 in a 12-person league. But the thing about Josh Jacobs, and with Josh McDaniels in Las Vegas now on the clock again, let's see if Marvin Jones got snagged. I already drafted Elijah Moore. I don't really want to go with Corey Davis, though. We're going to go with Alec Pierce instead, the rookie for the Indianapolis Colts. And let's check the tight end situation, too. Yeah, we'll take Noah Fant, not Font, or Evan Engram. I remember last year I posted a video about Noah Fant, and I called him Noah Font, and man, I got an insane amount of comments just that were just font. It is pronounced Noah Fant. What's up, Sam? Won my league last year because of you sticking to it. What do you think of Amari Cooper and his QB situation? Ty, first of all, let's go, man. We're running it back to back this season. We're ending the time where we can celebrate our fantasy championships, and now it's time to start grinding again to go back to back. I absolutely love Noah Fant this year for sure. I see that TikTok comment. Just the price for Noah Fant is it's basically free. We're in the 15th round. We're in the 15th round. You look at the other tight ends left. It just, on a pure talent perspective, Noah Fant shouldn't be in the same list with the rest of these guys. Like, Noah Fant was a first-round pick. He is the very clear starter for the Seahawks. I know the Seahawks are going to be trash offensively this season, most likely, with the offensive line and quarterback situations they have. But Noah Fant could very easily carve out a pretty sizable role in the passing attack there. Also, he already has the connection with Drew Lock, who's likely to start some games for the Seahawks this season. So yeah, I like Noah Fant with how late he's going, for sure. But going back to Ty's question, the Amari Cooper situation with him and Deshaun Watson. I already touched on the Deshaun Watson situation a little earlier in this live, but I'll hit on it again because it really is like the biggest thing right now in these early drafts to be thinking about. Whether or not Deshaun is suspended and for how long is going to be a huge impact on these early drafts. And it's other than Deshaun himself, the guy that's going to be impacted the most is Amari Cooper. And right now, the mindset I'm operating under with the Deshaun Watson situation is that he's going to be suspended the entire season. That's what I'm expecting to happen with Deshaun Watson. I'm purely speculating, though. It could easily be less than that. It also could be more than that. It's very possible he gets an indefinite suspension. If he is, though, suspended for the whole year, I'm much, much, much less excited about Amari Cooper because I don't think Baker Mayfield is going to be playing for the Browns ever again either, which means he's going to have Jacoby Brissett thrown to him on a run-first team. All that being said, Amari Cooper is very, very clearly the top receiver for the Browns this season. It would be shocking if anyone else even came close to his targets in this Browns offense. I do trust the talent of Amari Cooper still, but the offensive situation is definitely very concerning. But if Deshaun Watson isn't suspended the whole season, whenever Deshaun Watson's back from his suspension, say it's a 6-game suspension, because it's very possible too, he gets suspended for a whole year, then he appeals the suspension, and it gets reduced to something less than a year. And if that happens, Amari Cooper has top 12. He's going to be top 12 wide receiver in fantasy. Like Amari Cooper could even be top 5 with Deshaun Watson as his clear top target. It really does make that big of a difference. So right now I'm fading him because I don't think Deshaun's going to play this season. But as soon as we find out Deshaun is playing this season, I'm going to be drafting Amari Cooper for sure. That's kind of my Amari Cooper thoughts at the current moment. Any of the rookie wide receivers finish top 25? Definitely possible. I posted a video on YouTube of my, actually think I reposted on TikTok as well, of my top 10 rookies for fantasy this year. But yeah, there's a bunch of guys that can do it. This was a stacked wide receiver class for rookies. Garrett Wilson is still extremely talented. I don't think he's going to do it, though, on the Jets. I think Drake London has the best shot at it because he is the only receiver of consequence other than Kyle Pitts on the Falcons. I know the quarterback situation is not good there, but the volume can be there. And Drake London is the type of player that could score a lot of touchdowns. He has go up and get it type talent. Drake London is a jump ball specialist. That's exactly what he thrives with. And that's probably going to mesh pretty well with a pretty bad quarterback situation. So I think Drake London has a pretty good shot at it too. I also, Treylon Burks was really like the most hyped receiver right after the draft. He's been falling a little bit. I don't envision Treylon Burks finishing top 25. I think Robert Woods is going to outproduce Treylon Burks this season. Evan Ingram's still there as a third tight end for me. I kind of want to do it. We have this rookie running back still there too, though. I'm actually going to go with him. Just checking out his average draft position. I'm getting him 26 picks after ADP, and I did need another running back. So I already had drafted Kyle Pitts. I don't need a third tight end on this team. We're probably going to wrap up this squad with only receivers now. Some of my favorite late round stacks. And I got to look at the quarterbacks too. I want guys on the Dolphins and the Jaguars to try to stack late here. We're nearing the end of the stream, guys. I appreciate everyone that's tuned in. Thoughts on drafting Kyler Murray? Yeah, I'm in on Kyler, especially if he's the last quarterback among the group of Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, Patrick Mahomes. I'm missing one. Lamar Jackson. If he's the last of those 5, if like those 4 guys have already been drafted and Kyler Murray's still on the board, yeah, sign me up for Kyler Murray because he has quarterback 1 overall upside just like the rest of those guys. So if you can draft him after all of those guys, I'm in. That's my general quarterback strategy this year. Sometimes it's not Kyler, though. Sometimes he's going before Lamar Jackson. And if that happens, yeah, give me Lamar. I want the guy that I can get later than the other 4. Thoughts on Chris Olave? Yeah, continuing to talk about the rookie wide receivers. I mean, Chris Olave has just as good of a chance as any of these wide receivers we've touched on to finish as a top 25 wide receiver. Chris Olave is good. Chris Olave, I argued before the NFL draft, and now you could definitely make the same argument still. He's the most NFL-ready wide receiver in the sense that there is no route that Chris Olave cannot run. He is the most polished route runner in this draft class, in what was a stacked wide receiver draft class. So yeah, Chris Olave has a very good shot at finishing top 25, especially if Michael Thomas continues to stand on the sidelines. I posted a video yesterday, or maybe it was the day before, saying I preferred DeAndre Hopkins over Michael Thomas. Got a lot of pushback on that one. I just need to see Michael Thomas practice. That's all I'm asking for. I'm not asking for that much. I just need to see Michael Thomas put in a full practice. Ideally, even like play in a preseason game. And then I'm back in. I'm back in on Michael Thomas. I'll be back in. But I can't trust a guy that has literally not been able to practice for 2 years now. 2 years. They went out and drafted a rookie wide receiver. They went out and signed Jarvis Landry. He has the most competition for targets that he has had in his career for a while, at least. Maybe not his entire career earlier on with Jimmy Graham. But Michael Thomas hasn't had this much competition. The Saints haven't had this good of a wide receiver depth chart in the last 3 years. So, yeah, I'm nervous for Michael Thomas until he's on the field. And we know that DeAndre Hopkins is healthy. He's going to miss the first 6 weeks because of a suspension. But when he comes back, he's almost definitely going to be the number one wide receiver for the Cardinals. He dealt with a lot of injuries last year, and he's fully healthy now. And he's got plenty of time to get in shape and be fully healthy for when he returns. And so, yeah, right now, I'd prefer DeAndre Hopkins over Michael Thomas. I don't think there's that bold of a take. If you have Tyreek Hill in a dynasty league, what are you doing with him? I'm holding him. Definitely. I would hold on to Tyreek. And there's a very good chance that the Dolphins feed Tyreek Hill 10-plus targets a game in their offense. It seems pretty clear they're going to pepper their best receivers with the ball, Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill, with targets every single game. So, yeah, I'm definitely in on Tyreek Hill. And from a dynasty perspective, too, he just signed a massive contract. He's not going anywhere for a while. I'm also higher on Tua than the average person. I actually just drafted Tua in this draft because Tua has top 12 upside this season from a fantasy perspective. He's also one of the younger QBs in the league. If I trade Diggs for Burks in dynasty, what pick should I want with that? Yeah, you better get something very, very good in return for that because Diggs is a lock to be a top 12 wide receiver in fantasy this season and for really like the next year or two. He just signed a big extension with the Bills. Treylon Burks is good. He has a lot of upside as a rookie in dynasty, but he's not a lock by any means. I mean, he's really struggled even just at the very beginning from a conditioning perspective. And I think this year, Robert Woods is going to lead the Titans in receiving. So, yeah, I would get a first-round pick in return additionally to that, definitely. Who's your number one tight end? It's got to be Travis Kelce. I think it really has to be Kelce. Mark Andrews was the number one tight end last season, but with Tyreek Hill gone, I think Kelce is the auto number one overall tight end this season. I have actually Kyle Pitts at number 2 and Mark Andrews at number 3. And the reason for that is Mark Andrews and the Baltimore Ravens, I expect to be reverting back to being the most run-heavy team in the league, like they were 2 years ago. Not last year, but 2 years ago. The Ravens were the most run-heavy team in the league. I think they're going to revert back to that with J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards returning, and then also with the departure of Marquise Hollywood Brown, which is why I have Kyle Pitts ranked just slightly ahead of Mark Andrews. Is Jets more a good wide receiver 2 this season? Yeah, he is. I actually just drafted him in the draft I'm doing right now over on YouTube. We are actually about to make our last pick in this draft. Brian Edwards versus Laviska Shenault. Tough call here. I do have the Trevor Lawrence stack, but it's seeming more and more like Laviska Shenault is only going to be a kick returner for the Jaguars this season. And that's just what Laviska Shenault is going to be in the NFL. Even though he has looked promising as a slot receiver so far in the league. I'm actually going to go with Brian Edwards over him. Let's see if there's any other receivers I want to consider here with my last pick. I have taken Amari Rodgers a few times in the last round. Oh, no. This is the last pick. We're going with Brian Edwards. And that's the squad. We got 8 wide receivers, 5 running backs. This is really my ideal roster construction here. I only needed 2 tight ends. I got Noah Fant and I got Kyle Pitts. We got 3 solid quarterbacks, all of top 12 quarterback upside. I think I'm going to be top 5 in quarterback scoring in this league. Running backs, pretty fragile running back roster construction, but I absolutely love the first 2 guys I landed. I think both these guys have a chance to lead running backs in receiving this season, Austin Eckler and Travis Etienne. I stacked Etienne with Trevor Lawrence, and I stacked them with Christian Kirk as well. I'm glad I took Miles Sanders. I kind of wish that was Kenneth Walker, though, looking back. And then I got 2 young backups who I think could have standalone value this season in Alexander Madison and the rookie out of San Francisco. How many teams? This is a 12-team league. Let's take a look here. By the way, I max entered the puppy, 150 entries into the puppy. So the first draft, $5 draft entry, $5 entry draft on Underdog. I max entered that one. And I'm going to be max entering this Best Ball Mania draft too, most of which these drafts I've done live on YouTube and TikTok. The wide receiver group is really, I feel very good about these top 5 guys that I landed. I invested some early draft capital in Mike Evans, Rashad Bateman, Elijah Moore, Christian Kirk, Marquez Valdes-Scantling. I think between those 5, I'm going to have a solid 2-3 starters each week. And then I'm going to need to pray either Alec Pierce or Paris Campbell can come through for the Colts and be the number 2 receiver on the Colts. Where do you draft Jerry Jeudy if you could? Yeah, I'm in camp Jerry Jeudy over Courtland Sutton right now. And right now, actually, Courtland Sutton's getting drafted before Jerry Jeudy. But yeah, round 4, round 5. I think it's round 5 for me with Jerry Jeudy. We felt iffy to start with my team, but I think it's actually a solid team. Yeah, let's take a quick look at Sam's team here. in this draft. You went with 3 QBs. I wouldn't have taken Davis Mills here. You did get him super late, but you already have Trey Lance, Kyler Murray. You already invested a lot of draft capital in the position. I would probably have stuck with 2. Usually, if I get one of those first 5 guys, I only draft 2 QBs. But you're locked in as a top 5 quarterback scorer in this league too with these 3 QBs. Hyper fragile running back build, but I do like these running backs minus James Robinson. But he could come on late in the season. Who knows? Coming back from the Achilles injury. But all the other running backs, I like where you got them, especially Ronald Jones this late. Wide receivers look very solid. Three rookies. Christian Kirk's definitely a guy that I'm going to be drafting a lot in best ball as well. And then you ended with 2 tight ends. I like the Zach Ertz, Kyler Murray stack too. I'm not a huge Cole Kmet fan, but he's probably going to be the number 2 target for the Bears this season. All right. We are going to wrap up the YouTube live. Usually during the season, when I wrap up my live streams, I end the TikTok live, and then I get all the comments on the YouTube live. I'm actually going to do the reverse leading up to the season. I'm going to wrap up the YouTube live, but I'm going to stay live on TikTok for the next 5-10 minutes. Try to get to as many comments as I can on the TikTok live. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Time is the most valuable thing we have, so really I do appreciate everyone that spent some time with me on this live stream. Have a fantastic weekend, guys. We'll be back next week doing another live best ball draft over on YouTube.